Okay, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're still reading Badiou, his book Being an Event, and without further ado, let's get back to it. Yeah, let's turn this off here. So let's just jump right into the third part of his introduction. So he talks here about the productive consistency of thought, which we call formal. That means when we think, we try to make our thoughts consistent, unlike, I guess, intuitions, and that is what we then call a form without matter, right? And that is, however, as he says here, not only because it's an entirely logical framework. I guess he wants to say that form is something more substantial. He says it's a singular science. Why is singular so important? This is what suches it to being void. I don't know the word suture. Suture, it seems to mean to saw. So, okay, the singular science makes it related to the void. And that is where mathematics detaches itself from pure logic. Why is it that mathematics does that? The point which establishes its historicity, its successive impasses, its spectacular splits, and its forever recognized unity. Okay, let's just summarize what we know from the last time when I read the Wikipedia article, right? So it seems that we go for the axiom of choice, and in general, the set theory that we are using says that a set cannot contain itself. And I'm just like, as a criticism says, I use like these terms of the set theory like a magic wand, right? I don't really know what they mean. But what they said in that article was that I cannot define a set within itself, but that there's always something on the outside. And mathematics can express that by, I guess, the empty set, which is the void. And this is like the point of definition, the nothingness of that is at least something, I guess. However, mathematics, as it tries to coherently formulate itself from the inside, always leads to paradoxes. And so it always has an inconsistency that is overcome by historical choices. So the impasses are solved by saying, well, we choose this path. Another one may choose this path. It's a spectacular split. But I don't know how that then relates to a forever recognized unity. So he's talking a little bit in riddles here for me. And it is probably because he relates to larger problems that I'm just not familiar with it. But yeah, he says, okay, there's a decisive break for the philosopher in which mathematics mindly pronounces on its own essence in Kantor's creation. So I guess the essence of mathematics is maybe to make subjective choices on axioms. Is that what he wants to say? Well, maybe you can let me know if you know a little bit better. Yeah, he says, okay, he wants to do the multiples of mathematics on the basis of the void set alone. So yeah, can we find ourselves in the axiomatic decisions which authorizes set theory? So there seem to be always axiomatic decisions that we make in every science, and he seems to say we do that here too. So that this axiomatic system, however, has been itself in crisis ever since Cohen has established that the Zermelo-Fraenkel system could not determine the type of multiplicity of the continuum, only served to sharpen my conviction that something crucial yet completely unnoticed was at stake here, that the power of language is limited. But that it can be expressed mathematically as an ontology. Let me look up the problem of the multiplicity of the continuum. Okay, so I'm not entirely sure what it means, but I opened the article on the Stanford Encyclopedia for this. So let's have a very short look at that. So it says here that the continuum hypothesis is one of the most central problems in set theory, so I guess I should know that, but I really don't know much about set theory. And it seems that Cantor had shown that the natural numbers are in correspondence to the algebraic numbers, but he also showed that there's no correspondence between the natural numbers and real numbers. So in other words, you cannot have one natural number that you assign to a real number because they are not countable, as I remember. There's always a new real number that you could squeeze in two numbers that you have found. So I guess you cannot order them or something. Let me see what they write. So the continuum hypothesis is simply the statement that there is no such set of real numbers. It was, though, his attempt to prove this hypothesis that led Cantor to develop set theory into a sophisticated branch of mathematics. It was considered to be one of the great problems, and however, he could not show that that is true, and Cohen and Gödel seem to then have shown that it is not possible to show that. So they showed that the continuum hypothesis cannot be resolved on the basis of the axioms that mathematics were employing. In modern terms, the continuum hypothesis is independent of the Zermelo-Fraenkel set theory extended with the axiom of choice. Oh, okay, so this is then the axiom of choice that you just pick out, but you cannot probably say how you do that exactly. So you just say we do it. So this is like still the limit of my mathematical knowledge, and I guess in order to really read Badiou, I had to jump deeper into it. That's the question. So, but yeah, it seems here, yeah, it's very important to him, and I guess it expresses somehow what he understands as ontology, as the theory of being qua being insofar it is being. So set theoretical homogeneity of mathematical language as a mere paradigm of the categories of materialism. What does he say here? So I found it ironic that in theory du sujet, in a theory of a subject, I guess, he had to use the set theoretical homogeneity. I don't know what that means. So why does he have to use that as a mere paradigm of the categories of materialism? What are the categories of materialism? I guess there are real things. Yeah, I guess that things have objects. And it seems that in the theory he develops, he uses set theory, which is surprising because it seems set theory cannot be done in an ontological way. Yeah, this so far seems to be what he wants to say. We have to look closer into whether it becomes any clearer. Yeah, so as he says now, if we use set theory, we free mathematics from searching for a foundation. And I don't understand the explanation, since the apodictic nature of this discipline is wagered directly by being itself, which it pronounces. Okay, so the apodictic nature is that it can justify itself, but maybe this is already given away directly by itself when it pronounces that. I don't understand the sentence. I want to run that through a translator. Maybe it's my poor English. Okay, it makes it a little bit more clear to me in German. So once we search for a foundation, it seems we already give away the foundation. So the apodictic nature of itself is given away by the way the science is constituted, that it constantly maybe searches for something that grounds it. So, but if we give up on a foundation, we probably don't have this problem. That seems to be what he says. So second, and this is interesting because he says there's an ancient problem that we don't deal with it anymore. And it concerns the question what mathematical objects are. So are they ideal? Are there ideal numbers that exist outside of our empirical world? Are they abstracted from objects in our surrounding that we then try to understand what they are? Are these innate ideas, inborn ideas that we are just born with that are not outside? Are they, as Kant said, pure intuitions? That means a function of our mind when it tries to order empirical phenomena? Or is it a finite operational intuition? These are the intuitionists. I don't know too much about them. Or is it just a convention, a construction transitive to pure logic tautologies? Is it a logicism? So yeah, I guess this here is somehow Frege. But yeah, I don't know what he means by the last one. This seems to go further into the analytic theories that we have in the 19th century. So, but what he wants to say actually, and this was kind of surprising, that mathematics has no objects. Their object is that they present nothing. It's an empty game, as he says here, and they don't have anything that they want to present except that they show presentation itself. And presentation for him is not the one is not, but presentation is what he calls the multiple. And thereby never adopting the form of the object, such as certainly a condition of all discourse on being qua being. So what mathematics does, it comes from the subject. It somehow subverts the subject into something that is real. Mathematics is science of the real, but the real is a production of the subject, a category of the subject, as we have said before. And then it produces somehow an object, but never fully arrives at the object. It's just presentation, as I understand him here. Yeah, I hope I expressed that right. Let's take a pause here, because it's a lot to digest. And then let's go on with the second part of the third part of the introduction after a short break. So thanks for watching. If you have any comments on what I said where you can correct me, please do that, because I'm also interested in understanding this stuff. And this is really just an attempt to understand a difficult theory. I'm not blaming Badiou for not being clearer. I think we have to sometimes presuppose some things, because we cannot like write an introduction, an introduction, and an introduction. So what I believe we have then to do, we have to converse and see, okay, where does the other person does not understand something? Where do I don't understand something? How can I make it more coherent and consistent? So please help me with that if you have any comments. I really like to see them. I don't like super arrogant comments, right? Where people say, oh, you're so stupid, like this is this, and you shouldn't study Badiou, you should study Boa or whoever is there, like just leave that on the road, it will lead you to nothing. Okay, yeah, thank you. My concern is trying to understand what this person says. And once I've understood that, maybe to evaluate that. For me, it's a new terrain, right? If you like to do that, then let's do it together. I will do that also for other philosophers. I don't claim to have any expertise, but I'm happy to read it. So yeah, share, like, and subscribe. You know the spiel. And live long, study more Badiou, and prosper.